Hey gamers, today we're going to build churches in Germany with Hamburgum. Let's check it. Wait, what? In the game, you're going to pick which color you want to be, and it says the first player is the last person who attended church, which if you're playing with a bunch of churchgoers is going to be hard to decide. So we just kind of randomly pick here. But each player is going to start off with one of each good, and they are cloth, yellow is beer, and white is sugar. You're also going to start off with each a lumber and a brick, and these bricks are made out of some kind of substance, and it's weird because it kind of feels like a brick. It's a little bit heavier too, so it's really cool. But each person starts with lumber and a brick, and depending on where they are starting out depends on also how much money they get. So first player, who's the player who's going last in the victory point track, they're going to get 10 coins here. Now second player, who's going second, would get 20, and third player, who's going to be going last, starts off with 30. And these cardboard coins come in denominations of 10, 50, and 100, and you will be making this money later on in the game. You're also going to get a color, a ship that matches your color. It's going to be put in this dock number 3 here, and that's going to be important. I'll tell you why. You have a map of churches here, some buildings over there, which I'll get to in a minute, and of course all of these places where you can make church donations, and they have a church donation locator right here. Now up here they have these pile of churches that once completed you'll put them on the board. They have a number of the beer, cloth, and sugar sales place where you can exchange your goods and sell them here, and also a depot where you can buy goods like wood and brick, and sometimes bales, because you need a bale to finish the church. And listen to this. They really ring. I've never seen something like that in a game before, that well made. Little metal that rings. That is so awesome. Anyway, so those are the items that you can buy. And so you have here what's called a rondel, and each character is going to put their little player piece anywhere starting on the rondel they want, and they can move 1 to 3 spaces clockwise per turn. Now if you want to move more than 3 spaces, you're going to have to pay a victory point for each additional space that you want to move further on the rondel. So let me just kind of go over what all these rondels do, and I'm just going to use blue player as an example here. So let's say he lands on cloth. Well, all that means is that you get to collect 1 cloth. And the same thing with beer, and the same thing with sugar. If you land on those, you would get 1 of each of those cubes. So those are kind of common there. Also over on the dockyard, if you land on dockyard, well, if you paid 1 wood, you could bring in another ship into the harbor. Now, once a ship has 3, it is considered full. If a 4th one comes in, it bumps all 3 of these ships to the next level, 2. And then so on and so forth. They'll go to 1, and when they get bumped off 1, they just go back into the pool, and you'll have to continue buying ships. Now, why is it beneficial to have more ships in the game? Well, the more ships you have, the more items you can sell at the market. So for instance, if I had 2 cloth, and I was a red player, well that's good because I can only sell 2. If I had 3 cloth, I could only sell 2 here. But blue player can sell 1, 2 because it has a ship here, 3, 4, 5. They could sell up to 5 cloth or beer or sugar, any type of good. So it basically allows you to sell more on those turns. And I keep talking about selling, selling, selling. When would you want to sell goods? When could you? Well, any one of these 2 spaces that say trade. Because when you hit that, that's when you can cash in, you know, either your sugar, your beer, your cloth, and you can get whatever is on this scale here. Now right now at the beginning of the game, all the scales are right there to 0, so everyone's going to get 100 coin per item that they sell. So that's really cool. And if you go over the depot, if you want to buy some stuff too, the number of items you want, whether it be brick or wood or even bales, you can see how much in pounds you would have to pay. So if I just wanted, let me see, just 1 extra wood, that would cost me 20 pounds. What if I wanted 5, wood, and 5 brick. Okay, that's 10 items here. That's going to cost me 600 pounds. So the more you get, the more expensive it's going to cost you. But you can, once you sell your beer, sugar, and cloth, you can also buy some items at the shop there, the depot there, so you can build more stuff. Now, what are you building? Well, first off, most importantly, you're making donations to the church, and you're helping rebuild a bunch of these churches on the board. And we have St. Michaelis, St. Nikolai, St. Catherine, St. Petri, Marian Dom, and St. Jacobi. And whenever you are on the church location here, you can make a donation to any one of those 6 churches. Now, how to make donations, it tells you right here. If you're making the first donation, like no one's made a donation to that church yet, all you have to do is pay a brick. If you want to make a second one at the same time, you can. You can make as many donations as you have the supplies for at one time. But a second donation is going to cost you a brick and a lumber. A third donation costs you $20 a brick and lumber. Fourth donation costs you $40 a brick and lumber, and the fifth donation costs you 10 times the amount of players that you have up on the board. This is one of the little players here, and you'll put them on the board whenever you build other buildings, and I'll talk about that in a minute. But it's going to cost you 10 times the amount of people that you have out on the board, plus a brick, plus a lumber, plus a bale. Now, when you make just one donation, let's say, to a church, the first thing you're going to pick up is, let's say I made a donation to St. Michaelis here, and I would pick up the very first one, and this is the first one everyone picks up, and it is just 5 victory points on the track. So let's say I'm blue player here, I would go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and that's what I would get. Now, after that, the next donation I make to a church, maybe if I make another donation, if I make it, let's say, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and then I make it back to the church donation. I want to donate again. Well, when I donate for the second time, of course I have to pay a brick and lumber, but then I get to pick one of these 4 resource tiles to pick from. And you get to choose which one you want. Each one does different things for you. So for instance, this one says, hey, however many ships you have at the docks, times 2, and that's how many victory points you get. This one says, hey, how many church donations have you made? Because every time I make a church donation, like I made a church donation to St. Michaelis, so I'm going to put it right there. And what if I had another one up on the board here? Well, that's 2. 2 times 1 would be 2 points. It wouldn't be much, so I probably want to hold on to this and cash it in later when I've made a lot more donations. This one gives you times 3 the number of people that you have out there. And these are just little people, and also, watch this, it's totally reversible. You can play as a woman too. So any women who don't want to play as the man can play as the woman, and you'll put these out along the board, and however many you have, when you cash this in, it's that many villagers out there times 3. This one is how many buildings you have out on the board, and if you have a lot of buildings that you own, which is notated by the people there. So if I was to build something, I'll explain how that works in a minute. But you would get 5 times the number of buildings that you have on the board. Now, you can hold on to these. You don't have to cash them in. The only rule to this is you cannot pick up another one. So I can't have 2 of these building tiles at the same time. I have to cash one in to be able to pick another one up. So you can only hold on to these as long as you don't get a second type of the same resource there. So that's the only rule on that when it comes to donations. Now, you want to donate in those areas, because when you donate in an area like St. Michaelis, then that means you can build in an area that is connected to that church. Now, that's really cool, because when you go to Guildhall here, all you have to do is pay a brick and a wood, and then you will get to build one of these buildings that are connected to the church that you've donated in. If I donated in 2 churches, of course I have several more options, as you can see here. And as each person donates, they're going to put their tile on there as well and grab one of the tokens there. Now, once a church has been completely donated to, you're actually going to take this little church icon, push it over here. I'm just laying it flat so you can see it on the camera, but you put it up there, and you put it there, and whoever made the final donation, they're also going to get some victory points. And as you see here, the victory points are 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So it's lower the more churches that you donate that get completed. So you do want to be the first one to donate the top churches because you're going to get the most victory points for those. But when you donate to a church, gone is the rule where you have to, the zoning rule, where you can only build in an area next to a church. So you're thinking, well, Matt, how could you build in any of these areas because they're not connected to any churches? Once you built a church, then you are free to go and build wherever you like. And there's different things you can build. You can build cloth factories, sugar refineries, and breweries, which is notated by the green, white, and yellow buildings there. Now, when you build in that area, what you're doing, let's say Red wanted to build in that area, and they wanted to build cloth. Okay, so that's connected to St. Michael's. They've donated to it, and so they're going to make cloth right there. What they're going to do is they're going to pick up this little token here, and what it says, hey, you produce +1 cloth. So that means next time when the red player lands on cloth, they're not just getting 1 cloth, they're going to get 2 cloth. Now that's really cool because that's how you get goods faster and you can cash them in faster as well and get more money. However, when you make a factory, either beer, sugar, or cloth, the production drives down the price because there's more of it available. So for instance, for cloth, I'd move this down 1 because I have a cloth factory here in town. So now instead of being worth 100, these cubes are only worth 90. And as the game progresses, you'll slowly be going down in all the prices until all the refineries are built or factories or breweries are built, and then all the goods are worth half the price they were when you started out, and that's because there's just a lot of people making them. Now, other buildings that you can build in the game is like a captain, and what a captain does, it says you can add 1 new ship to the dock here, plus 1 Dutchman. Now, the Dutchman is this orange ship. So not only when you push, let's say there's these 3 ships here, not only are you pushing one of your ships in, but you're also getting a Dutchman. And so you push all these down. And what that means is now blue player gets to sell 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. They can sell 8 of these cubes at one time. So they can really build up and really cash in on the cubes if they have that captain ship. And of course the ship goes away as it slowly gets pushed off the board. Other things you can build is the merchant area. Merchant area just gets you 100 pounds when you build it. And of course you're building these buildings because of cards of tiles like this, because the more buildings you have, you can cash this in and get 5 times that amount in victory points. Also, you have the brown buildings there. There's not going to be that many. I just stacked them all there. You're going to put just a few of them. There are different kinds of official buildings. There are different types of official buildings in there, and they give you like different special powers. If we look at a few here, the vicar, you get $10 per total donation. So you're going to get some money back on donations. Councilman gets $10 per total citizen. So however many citizens you have, you get that amount. Or deacons, $30 per own donation. That's really nice. Lord Mayor, $60 per completed church. So you're going to actually be getting points based on what's going on the board. And again, these are randomly put in depending on what type of game you want to play. And there's several different other buildings in there and very self-explanatory in what you build. But the whole time, you're going to go around building buildings around the area and, of course, donating to churches and building those churches. Now, the game ends when someone has built the final church. Once all the churches have been built, the person with the most points wins the game. Now here real quick, I wanted to give you a look at an expansion I bought for it called Antwerpia. I've never played this expansion before yet, but as you see, there is no regions on where you can donate. So the game's a little bit different. When trading in, you get different tiles, church tiles. So building churches are a little bit different. It kind of takes the game and kind of turns it on its ear a little bit in some of those rules. You still have the Rondel, you still have the same buildings, the same beer, sugar, cloth, and the same dock here. But like I said, the town looks a little bit different. The donations are handled different. The rewards are different. And also, I don't know if this was in the base game or not. I can't remember. Or this expansion. But it also comes with these nice cardboard, moves on the Rondel and tells you what you can do on each space. So I think this came in the base game, but I just don't remember. But anyway, that's the expansion here, but yet I haven't played it. It looks very similar with a few different changes. Final thoughts, what do I think about the game? Well, Folks, looking at this cover, I don't think much of the game. Look at it. What a boring cover, right? What a boring theme. You're building churches in Germany. I remember when I read about this, I was studying up for games I wanted to play at BGG-Con, and I put this one on the list just because it sounded odd. Building churches. That's a weird type game. Why would you want to do that in the 18th century here? That's a little weird. The cover looks very boring too. And you have sugar refineries and cloth and beer. Yeah, that makes sense. And, you know, I just didn't realize what the theme was all about. So this is just so weird. It's by Rio Grande, another one of my favorite publishers. And it seems like the only games I like from them are out of print, like this one. But I wanted to get a game. This had a rondel. I never played a game with a rondel before where you're moving round and round the board. I rather like that. I like how you can pay extra points to it. I love the quality of the board, the quality of the pieces. That bell that rings, why would you do that? That's insane, but I loved it. When we first saw it, it was like, shut up, it rings, and we just thought that was so cool, but really unnecessary. But they went ahead. The production is there. They gave you your money's worth in production. But I really didn't understand the theme. Now, we enjoyed the game. I remember thinking it was okay. I actually found it for a super good deal online. I was like, well, for that price, I can't pass it up. And I'm glad I got it, and I'll tell you why. Because it wasn't in my copy at BGG, but it was in my new copy that I got. Historical data. I saw this book came out. I thought it was a rule book at first. I went, no, wait, this is not a booklet. This just came... It contains historical data on the cities of Hamburg and its churches. So I read through this. Folks, this is actually based on true history here. Hamburg had all these great churches that either got burned down in a great fire, destroyed during World War II, and the city had to come together and rebuild it. And what were their three major exports? You guessed it, sugar, beer, and cloth. And it gives the history of them and why it was important and how long these were old churches that they were rebuilding from the original plans. Incredible. As a history major, ooh, I really like this. I really like this. It gave a whole new perspective on the game, because now that I know it's based off historical events, it's kind of accurate for the gameplay too. Oh man, I just have that much more love for this game. Seriously, my opinion and respect for this game just shot through the roof. Now, the little expansion, which is basically just an extra board and different tiles, again, like I said, I haven't played that one before. I wouldn't be opposed to playing it. You know, if we get to a big Hamburgum group where we're just playing Hamburgum every day and it's time to get a different board, that's nice. Is it necessary to have? No, probably not. But the base game is a lot of fun. Now, the good news is, even though it's out of print, I think you can still get this game for very cheap, because a lot of people just pass it by, I guess. There's other games. There are other games that are better than this. Yes, there are. But to be honest, for what it is, this is actually a surprising game. And now I know that it's now I know it's history. Being a history major, ooh, makes me love it even more. All right, gamers, that's all the time I have for now. So until next time, you know what to do. Game on!